Bible in a Year Live Chronological Project, Week 6, Day 2, New English Translation. When they journeyed from Elim, the entire company of Israelites came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after their exodus from the land of Egypt. The entire company of Israelites murmured against Moses and Aaron in the desert. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat, when we ate bread to the full. For you have brought us out into this desert to kill this whole assembly with hunger." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I am going to rain bread from heaven for you, and the people will go out and gather the amount for each day, so that I may test them. Will they walk in my law or not?" On the sixth day, they will prepare what they bring in, and it will be twice as much as they gather every other day. Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you will know that the Lord has brought you out of the land of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your murmurings against the Lord. As for us, what are we, that you should murmur against us?" Moses said, "You will know this when the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening and bread in the morning to satisfy you, because the Lord has heard your murmurings, that you are murmuring against him. As for us, what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Tell the whole community of the Israelites, 'Come before the Lord, because he has heard your murmurings.'" As Aaron spoke to the whole community of the Israelites, and they looked toward the desert, there the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. And the Lord spoke to Moses, "I have heard the murmurings of the Israelites. Tell them, during the evening you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be satisfied with bread, so that you may know that I am the Lord your God." In the evening the quail came up and covered the camp, and in the morning a layer of dew was all around the camp. When the layer of dew had evaporated, there on the surface of the desert was a thin flaky substance, thin like frost on the earth. When the Israelites saw it, they said to one another, "What is this?" Because they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread that the Lord has given you for food. This is what the Lord has commanded. Each person is to gather from it what he can eat, an omer per person, according to the number of your people. Each one will pick it up for whoever lives in his tent." The Israelites did so, and they gathered, some more, some less. When they measured with an omer, the one who gathered much had nothing left over, and the one who gathered little lacked nothing. Each one had gathered what he could eat. Moses said to them, "No one is to keep any of it until morning." But they did not listen to Moses. Some kept part of it until morning, and it was full of worms and began to stink. And Moses was angry with them. So they gathered it each morning, each person according to what he could eat. And when the sun got hot, it would melt. And on the sixth day, they gathered twice as much food, 2 omers per person. And all the leaders of the community came and told Moses. He said to them, "This is what the Lord has said. Tomorrow is a time of cessation from work, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Whatever you want to bake, bake today. Whatever you want to boil, boil today. Whatever is left, put aside for yourselves to keep until morning." So they put it aside until morning, just as Moses had commanded, and it did not stink, nor were there any worms in it. Moses said, "Eat it today, for today is a Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the area. 6 days you will gather it, but on the seventh day, the Sabbath, there will not be any." On the seventh day, some of the people went out to gather it, but they found nothing. So the Lord said to Moses, "How long do you refuse to obey my commandments and my instructions? See, because the Lord has given you the Sabbath, that is why he is giving you food for 2 days on the sixth day. Each of you stay where you are. Let no one go out of his place on the seventh day." So the people rested on the seventh day. The house of Israel called its name manna. It was like coriander seed, and it was white, and it tasted like wafers with honey. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Fill an omer with it to be kept for generations to come, so that they may see the food I fed you in the desert, when I brought you out from the land of Egypt. Moses said to Aaron, take a jar and put it in an omer full of manna, and place it before the Lord to be kept for generations to come, just as the Lord commanded Moses. So Aaron placed it before the testimony for safekeeping. Now the Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to a land that was inhabited. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is 1/10 of an ephah. The water at Massa and Meribah. The whole community of the Israelites traveled on their journey from the desert of Sin according to the Lord's instruction, and they pitched camp in Rephidim. Now there was no water for the people to drink. So the people contended with Moses, and they said, give us water to drink. Moses said to them, why do you contend with me? Why do you test the Lord? But the people were very thirsty there for water, and they murmured against Moses and said, why in the world did you bring us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? Then Moses cried out to the Lord, what will I do with this people? A little more, and they will stone me. The Lord said to Moses, go over before the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will be standing before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you will strike the rock, and water will come out of it, so that the people may drink. And Moses did so in plain view of the elders of Israel. He called the name of the place Massa and Meribah, because of the contending of the Israelites and because of their testing the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? Amalek came and attacked Israel in Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out, fight against Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua fought against Amalek just as Moses had instructed. And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses would raise his hands, then the Israelites prevailed. But whenever he would rest his hands, then Amalek prevailed. When the hands of Moses became heavy, they took a stone and put it under him, and Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and one on the other, and so his hands were steady until the sun went down. So Joshua destroyed Amalek and his army with the sword. The Lord said to Moses, write this as a memorial in the book and rehearse it in Joshua's hearing, for I will surely wipe out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Moses built an altar and he called it, the Lord is my banner. For he said, for a hand was lifted up to the throne of the Lord, that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard about all that God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Moses' wife Zipporah after he had sent her back, and her two sons, one of whom was named Gershom, for Moses had said, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land, and the other Eleazar, for Moses had said, the God of my father has been my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' sons and his wife, came to Moses in the desert where he was camping by the mountain of God. He said to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you, along with your wife and her two sons with her. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They each asked about the other's welfare, and then they went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to Egypt for Israel's sake, and all the hardship that had come on them along the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. Jethro rejoiced because of all the good that the Lord had done for Israel, whom he had delivered from the hand of Egypt. Jethro said, blessed be the Lord who has delivered you from the hand of Egypt and from the hand of Pharaoh, who has delivered the people from the Egyptians' control. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all the gods, for in the thing in which they dealt proudly against them, he has destroyed them. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices for God, and Aaron and all the elders of Israel came to eat food with the father-in-law of Moses before God. On the next day, Moses sat to judge the people, And the people stood around Moses from morning until evening. When Moses' father in law saw all that he was doing for the people, he said, "What is this that you are doing for the people? Why are you sitting by yourself and all the people standing around you from morning until evening?" Moses said to his father in law, "Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, it comes to me, and I decide between a man and his neighbor, and I make known the decrees of God and his laws." Moses' father in law said to him, "What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear out, both you and these people who are with you, for this is too heavy a burden for you. You are not able to do it by yourself. Now listen to me. I will give you advice, and may God be with you. You be a representative for the people to God, and you bring their disputes to God. Warn them of the statutes and the laws, and make known to them the way in which they must walk, and the work they must do. But you choose from the people capable men, God fearing, men of truth, those who hate bribes, and put them over the people as rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. They will judge the people under normal circumstances, and every difficult case they will bring to you, but every small case they themselves will judge, so that you may take it easy for yourself, and they will bear the burden with you. If you do this thing, and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure, and all these people will be able to go home satisfied. Moses listened to his father in law and did everything he had said. Moses chose capable men from all Israel, and he made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. They judged the people under normal circumstances. The difficult cases they would bring to Moses, but every small case they would judge themselves. Then Moses sent his father in law on his way, and so Jethro went to his own land. Israel at Sinai. In the third month, after the Israelites went out from the land of Egypt, on the very day they came to the desert of Sinai. After they journeyed from Rephidim, they came to the desert of Sinai, and they camped in the desert. Israel camped there in front of the mountain. Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain. "Thus you will tell the house of Jacob and declare to the people of Israel, you yourself have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I lifted you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And now, if you will diligently listen to me and keep my covenant, then you will be my special possession out of all the nations, for all the earth is mine, and you will be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you will speak to the Israelites." So Moses came and summoned the elders of Israel. He set before them all these words that the Lord had commanded him, and all the people answered together, "All that the Lord has commanded we will do." So Moses brought the words of the people back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "I am going to come to you in a dense cloud, so that the people may hear when I speak with you, and so that they will always believe in you." And Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and make them wash their clothes to be ready for the third day. For on the third day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You must set boundaries for the people all around, saying, 'Take heed to yourselves not to go up on the mountain, nor touch its edge. Whoever touches the mountain will surely be put to death. No hand will touch him, but he will surely be stoned or shot through, whether a beast or a human being. He must not live. When the ram's horn sounds a long blast, they may go up to the mountain." Then Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. He said to the people, "Be ready for the third day. Do not go near your wives." On the third day in the morning there was thunder and lightning and a dense cloud on the mountain, and the sound of a very loud horn. All the people who were in the camp trembled. Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet God, and they took their place at the foot of the mountain. Now, Mount Sinai was completely covered with smoke, because the Lord had descended on it in fire, and its smoke went up like smoke of a great furnace, and the whole mountain shook violently. When the sound of the horn grew louder and louder, Moses was speaking, and God was answering him with a voice. The Lord came down on Mount Sinai, on the top of the mountain, and the Lord summoned Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. The Lord said to Moses, "Go down and solemnly warn the people, lest they force their way through the Lord to look, and many of them perish. Let the priests also approach the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break through against them." Moses said to the Lord, "The people are not able to come up to Mount Sinai, because you solemnly warned us. Set boundaries for the mountain and set it apart." The Lord said to him, "Go, get down and come up, and Aaron with you. But do not let the priests and the people force their way through to come up to the Lord, lest he break through against them." So Moses went down to the people and spoke to them.